We're here at Primary Arms at SHOT Show 2025 with Steven. He's going to show us some of the new optics.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. First
Absolutely.
of all, appreciate you guys. We've got a lot of really new exciting stuff in our Discovery 25 release, which is kind of what we call all our new product releases. The thing that most people have been hearing about and what everybody gravitates towards right off the rip as soon as they get to our booth is our new Made in USA HTX1. So we're actually making these in Houston, Texas. That's where the name comes from, with HTX, Houston, Texas. It is not assembled in the US. It's not foreign components imported and then put together. It's actually made in the US.
Very cool. I like that.
From the housings, the material, the lenses, the boards, everything is US. There's one part of one component that isn't, and that's the actual crystals that we grow for the emitter diodes themselves.
Okay.
Emitters aren't made out of glass. They're not made out of plastic. You have to grow the crystal.
Okay.
There's 2 places in the world that do that. Neither one of those places in the US.
Okay.
So we're actually growing crystals in Germany, but then we bring them in and we do all the potting and soldering here in the US. So there's a couple of super unique features about this that make it kind of what it is. We have a new modular chassis system. So instead of you having to use like plates to adapt your gun to the dot that you're putting it on.
Which I think we all hate.
Yeah, it's a nightmare because everybody uses different screws, everybody uses different footprints. Then if you have your slide cut, you're committed to that and that alone.
Yep.
So we actually adapt our dot to whatever gun you're going to be shooting. So right out of the gate, on initial release, it comes with 3 different chassis. There's one for the MOS guts, then there's an RMR-A and an RMR-B.
Okay.
We did those 3 initially because that covers about 95% of the optics-ready guns on the market. Everybody who makes an optics-ready gun makes something for an RMR-style dot, so you can adapt it to our chassis for that.
Yeah.
But we're also currently building more chassis, so we'll be doing them for like the Smiths, the Walthers, the HKs. We'll be doing them for Doctor. We'll be doing them for DPP. So we can pretty much be able to adapt it to everything.
Very cool.
It allows us to mount it super low as well. Right now we've got it mounted on this Staccato, but we've also got some of the MOSs out there as well. You can actually co-witness with standard height sights.
Okay, that's cool.
And it's not like a sliver of a co-witness where you're just getting the tip of that front sight blade and part of your notch. It's a full sight picture. So if you're running like high-vis sights, or you're running Triticon sights, or you're running the night vision sights, you can still use those because you can still see the tritium vials because you can see the entire sight.
Gotcha.
They're super low. On the Glocks, they actually mount so the bottom of the window is level with the top of the slide. And that's the lowest profile out of anything out there.
That's wild. Is that because of the chassis system? Is that
it's because of that chassis system.
Okay.
Yep. We're actually slamming all the mechanical components, which are located in the back here, so they touch the mounting surface.
Okay.
So you don't have any additional space between that and whatever you're mounting it onto, which allows us to get it so low.
Very cool.
We only sit about 5.5 millimeters above the actual deck height that you're mounting on. So most of the iron sights that are out there, those stock height iron sights, are actually sitting right around that 5.5, 5.7 millimeter height.
Okay, which I think a lot of people are going to like, because that's a question I get asked a lot is, do I have to do suppressor right size? Can it co-witness all that stuff? With this, it's
and then you got to get new holsters, and you got to mess with all that stuff. So, you know, price point on these things, we're looking at an MSRP of the Vulcan variant at about $749, with an MSRP of the dot variant at about $699. So the street price is going to be lower, but the Vulcan variant, for those that don't know, in the HTX, it's got a 240 MOA outer circle.
Okay.
That's designed to fall outside of the field of view as long as you present the gun right. If you don't, if you have a bad grip coming out of the holster, if you're shooting with your support hand around a barricade, you're in one of those kind of goofy situations, then the circle will actually come into the window. So where you would traditionally lose the dot, now you can still see that circle, so you know which way to drive the gun to get it back to center, instead of sitting there and having to like fish for it to see where that dot went.
Which I found to be one of the best for new shooters. Like when you are brand new to red dot, that is one of the hardest things, is finding that dot and
finding the dot.
Fishing for it.
Even
with
people
this, helps a lot.
like there's dudes that shoot Glocks for the last 20 years, right?
Yep.
I can throw a regular dot on their gun with suppressor height sights, and you'll watch them present the gun like they have been for the last 20 years, and then they pick their head up because now they're sitting a 1/4 inch higher than they were. So they're still losing the dot even though they have that muscle memory.
Yeah.
With this, because it sits so low, you're still running stock height sights, so you can still pick the gun up, drive that front sight blade into the notch, you'll see the dot come into the window. And if you don't for some reason, then you've still got that circle to help drive you back to center. And like if I'm standing on a flat range and I'm burning down plate racks or shooting at dueling trees or whatever, I turn the circle off because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But all my carry guns, all the duty guns, all my demo guns, when I'm running those kind of adverse scenario type reactions, I've always got that circle on because my split times don't really matter. My first round to target is what matters, and that gets me first round on target faster.
Well, I think the misunderstanding for people is they think that you see that while you present.
Yeah,
like you said, if you present correctly, you don't see it.
Yeah, it goes away.
Only when you're going to represent is when you see that.
Yep, exactly.
So it is designed to help you. So.
Yeah, and so if you're just out of the range training and you don't want that circle, turn it off.
Yeah,
you can shut it down, and then when you go and holster it, get ready for, throw it on your duty belt or go out for your EDC gun, then you turn it back on so it's ready when you need it.
Very cool, very cool. What batteries are you running this?
It's a CR2032, so you can get them at Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, Target, wherever.
Easy enough to
Super easy to get. They always come in 2-packs because you lose one, then you have that backup all the time. Yep. But we've also got our AutoLive technology in here. So with AutoLive, it's a 2-stage in the HTX. Once a gun sits still for 15 seconds, it figures you're on target. You don't need the circle, so it shuts the circle off.
Oh, okay.
Once a gun stays still for 3 minutes, it figures you're not using it, so the whole thing goes to sleep. Okay. And then if you move it at all, like any slight touch on it at all, it turns back on. So most of the time people don't even know it's working because when they pick it up to look through it again, it's instantly back on.
So if you want to sneak on it, you got to come up to a table while it's still sitting there.
You can't touch it. You got to kind of crouch down behind it. But even these things sitting on here, if somebody comes up and puts their hand on the bench, it turns everything back on.
Okay. And your battery life, how long?
At a high medium setting with a dot only, we're at about 15,000 hours, so about 1.5 years of constant on time. Okay. Once you turn that circle on and you crank the brightness all the way up, it's of course going to reduce that time down, but still usable time frame on it. I've been carrying one of these on my EDC gun for about 1.5 years now, and I'm swapping batteries about every 4 to 6 months, depending on how often I'm using it.
All right, so which is good. You're supposed to swap your batteries anyway. A lot of us don't, but you should.
Yeah,
definitely a good thing to do.
Make sure you do, because when batteries burst in your dot, it's a real bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had that happen a couple times.
When are these releasing?
We're actually going to start shipping the first commercial units in very limited quantities in April. So there's select dealers out there right now where you can pre-order. You'll start seeing these start to trickle into the market. With the response that we've gotten here at SHOT Show, and with a lot of the gov agencies and stuff we've been talking to as well, this is going to be an allocated product. So if you're thinking about getting one, get in line now as fast as you can, because you're going to need to.
So the one thing I'm thinking about with this, and what I think is cool about the height, is when you're running a piggyback optic for a LPVO and you're running on top, a lot of those sometimes run really high, and to me that's annoying. With this, it might run a little bit lower. Did you guys put them on that style to see?
I've actually run one, so I do a lot of our Milanelli demos, and I've got our new RDB 1-to-8 PLX with one of these mounted and 12 o'clock above it. It's a phenomenal setup.
Is that here?
It's perfect. I don't have that set up here. I've got a couple mounted on like a 1 o'clock mount with some of our long range stuff. We'll check that out.
I just think that would be a really good setup for that, just because it's a little bit shorter, so you don't have that height.
Yep.
So very cool, which we're going to be talking about that here in a second, the other optics and scopes that we have here.
Thank you for checking out the SHOT Show content. We have a bunch of videos on our channel of all the newest products being released at the show, if you guys are interested in checking those out. The people that are incredibly helpful for the things that we do, and really nice, Brownells, HRT Tactical, and Vertex Clothing. Check them out at my website, tacticalvisor.net. That is my website, tacticalvisor.net. Check that out, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. That is incredibly helpful and allows us to be able to come to these shows and these events to do this. If you enjoy these videos, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting down below. Let's get right back into the videos.
Everybody knows the PLX Compact 1-to-8. It's been super popular release. The first one's about 3 years ago in a first focal plane. In longer range options in that PLX series, we only had the 6-to-30. It's a great scope, but it's a little old. It's been in our lineup for quite some time, so it's definitely time for a refresh. So we took the optical prescription we had in the 1-to-8s and what made that such a lightweight compact scope, and we put it into our new longer range optics. So these are the PLX Compact. We do it in a 2.5-to-20, which is what this one is, and we also do it in a 4.5-to-36, which is its big brother. From the back of the objective to the eyepiece, it's the same scope. It's just the objectives which increase the magnification, make them a little bit larger. So we're looking at 12 inches end to end on the 2.5-to-20 and about 30 ounces. There's tons of travel. It's got a 34 millimeter tube, and it's got our new cartridge turret system. So right now they ship with the standard Easy Stop, which is just a simple zero stop turret. But you can change those out for locking turrets, locking and stop turrets, push-pull turrets, kind of whatever you want to put on there to adapt it to either your specific system or your specific use case.
So will those come in the package, or that's something you have to
those will be additional accessories.
So they can add on.
Yeah, they can purchase the ones they need. We're not going to force them to buy it right out of the gate if they don't necessarily need it. We're also doing 2 new reticles in these. So the 2.5-to-20 is getting our new Deca G2, which is a kind of simpler style mill reticle with just a vertical and horizontal stadia. And then they've got our new Athena VPR Mill G2, which is a modified version of our mill grid, Christmas tree style reticle. It's got a dot center aiming point instead of the chevron that the Gen 1 had.
Okay.
And then we also moved the ranging ladder. We put it at the 12 o'clock position instead of off to the side.
Okay.
So it's a little bit easier and more intuitive to use.
Yeah.
These things are phenomenal.
Not to have stuff all over the place as well.
Yeah,
So
if you're looking at all the different parts of your reticle, it's easy to range and then just drop straight into what your drop's going to be. Makes it much, much faster. Super lightweight and extremely rugged. We've been really happy with the way these things turned out, and they shoot awesome. So between this and then its bigger brother, whatever you're looking for, we would call this a medium power variable, but at 20x to the top end, that's not really medium. That's still pretty high power.
No, I think 2.5 to 20 is it is probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal prescription because that 2.5 is open enough where you can still be extremely fast with it up close. And then 20x at the top end, you can shoot as far as you want.
So, you don't need to go 36, 40. Some people look a little crazy with their
I need a
magnification.
60x scope,
yes,
like you really don't know.
Like 2.5 20 is really good for everything that you need. Love the size of it, looks really good. When are these releasing?
We're looking a little bit later in the year for these. So usually we don't like to release stuff at SHOT Show that we're not doing in the first half of the year. We made the exception on these because it's such a big deal. We didn't want it to get lost in a mid-year release.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we're looking probably like mid to late Q3 on these hitting the market.
And then price point, you guys got that?
Yeah, the 2.5 is going to be right around that $1,900, $2,000 price point, and then the 4.5 to 36, we're looking at about another $300, so $2,200, $2,300.
Gotcha. Now, so you have illumination, correct?
Yeah, it's a 10-position illumination with off between each one, and we actually did a lot of work on the PLX knob. So anybody who shoots long range knows that the most manipulated control on your long range scope is that PLX.
Yep, absolutely.
We wanted to make sure it was extremely smooth and easy to manipulate, but it was also strong enough to not shift under recoil regardless of what you put it on, and we were able to knock it out of the park with that on here.
Thank you for putting numbers and not notches.
Yeah, the generic notches, it's about infinity far away.
Yes, it's like just let me at least get an idea and then I can adjust from there. But let me see what the general area is.
Get to that 800 and then tweak it from there instead of like, it's about this wide.
Yeah,
like,
it's 8 notches maybe, we'll see. You got to dial all the way back to see how blurry it is and then work your way back. I agree. So that's a good addition. Fantastic. Very excited about these.
So also in that PLX Compact line, we can go right over here. We had the 1 to 8 compacts, which everybody loves. It's super lightweight, super small. The original first focal planes had a traditional etch and fill. For that traditional etch and fill reticle on the original first focal planes, it acts kind of like a stop sign. So when you shine your headlights at a stop sign, it takes that light and it shoots it out in all different directions. You get a little bit back, and that's why you can see that stop sign glow, but you're not getting all the energy coming off those headlights. We changed the illumination in our new RDB, or red dot bright variant of the PLX Compact, and we're using what's called diffractive illumination. So that's more like shining your headlights into a mirror, where we're taking all that light energy and bouncing it straight back to the shooter instead of scattering it in all directions. So the illumination on this thing, when we crank it up to 10, it actually burns brighter than our Novas did last year.
Oh, wow, okay.
So shooting this thing, that's why we called it the RDB, or the red dot bright. Shooting this thing at 1x with both eyes open is like shooting a red dot.
That's cool.
It is extremely fast. And then, because it's not a fiber wire, it's an etched reticle, we can maintain that first focal plane set of features in there, so you're still getting your floating elements, all of your mover leads, all of your wind holds. Everything everybody loved about the original Griffin and the original Raptor reticles is back in the new G2 versions that are optimized for that RDB.
Very cool. These are already released, correct? Are these not coming out
not yet. These will be out.
This is just an addition to your PLX.
Yeah, this is an addition to. So we had the original ones before. We've still got those.
Yep.
We had the Novas from last year. We've still got those. And then this is the new version of those. The new red dot bright illumination.
Very cool. And what's the price point on those? Is that going to up the price because of the addition?
It goes up a little bit. Those reticles to produce are about $200 more than the other ones. So we did mostly just a pass-through cost on that. We're not making any money off that additional reticle. It's about $200, $250 higher than its older brothers. So you're looking around the $1,700 price point for the new RDB.
When are these being released?
You're probably looking mid to late Q2 on these ones.
Q2. Awesome. I look forward to those as well.
Yeah, these things are going to be huge. That's everything everybody asked for. The first ones are like, it's not bright enough. The second ones, like, well, we don't like second focal plane. Like, fine. So we made it bright enough,
make it all.
and we made it in first focal plane. Here it is. So
there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, we did it. And those are the big hitters for us for the new Discovery 25. We have a new SLX series, which is sitting right behind you. There's been a lot of confusion about this scope online. A lot of people are saying, why did you replace the GLX 2.5 to 20 with an SLX 2 to 12?
Okay.
We never said we were replacing anything. Nobody from PA has ever said we're replacing anything. So it's a new product we're releasing. Yeah, they all just assumed we're replacing it. We've got different plans for that GLX series.
Okay.
So stay tuned on that. We'll have some new stuff coming out later this year. But the SLX 2 to 12 is its own thing. It's a new release. It's a second focal plane scope, and we put a Nova reticle in it because we built it for the dudes putting those like SPR or Recce style guns together. It's a nice small objective to keep everything compact. And then by having that Nova like fiber wire, super bright, red dot bright illumination in it, you can turn it down to 2 power and you can still shoot it fast and close. If you're gonna shoot longer distance with it, crank it to 12 and you still have that mil system in there.
Very nice. And this, for everyone that might not know the SLX, PLX, all that, this is the more affordable version?
Yeah, so
correct?
that scope's under 500 bucks.
Okay,
well under 500.
So your SLX is the more affordable, then you go up from there with the different names.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm very excited for all the releases.
Appreciate it.
Thank
we are
you so
too.
much.
Thanks for dropping in.
Don't forget to check out Howitzer Clothing. They donate 5% of proceeds to charity, and that's incredibly cool with how much they've donated so far. Plus, they have a Tactical Advisor t-shirt, which is really neat, and there's a link in the description if you would like to get one yourself. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all.